Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? The Falcons are going to stink again, right?
Nope.
They're going to stink, bro. Come on.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Listen, I'm not sitting here telling you that this is going to be a 13-win football team and they're going to the NFC Championship game. Hell, I'm not even telling you they're going to win the NFC South. What I am telling you is that they have a damn genius as a coach. He is one of the best offensive minds in this game that people are not talking enough about. And it took them 2+ years to do it, but they have locked and loaded an offense with weapons all over the place. And put some respect on his name already. Bijan, he is that dude. And when I say he's that dude, think Alvin Kamara, but better.
Man, that's hard for me to get there, Zeno, after a week of training camp. What have you seen that makes you that confident in Bijan?
I mean, it's not. It's as much as it is his talent, right? As much as it is like when this guy puts his foot in the dirt, like guys on the sidelines fall in the wrong direction. Like, that's how shifty he is. It's unreal. Like, honestly, one of my biggest worries is he's going to put his knee in the ground and, God forbid, you know what happens. Like, It's just, but there's so much change of direction that quickly that he's going to be impossible to cover out of the backfield. I think that right now, I think there might be 5 or 6 linebackers who could cover him coming out of the backfield because one cut and he's got people falling all over the place. I've seen it in every single thing he's done in training camp. Now, again, you know me, I'm not a fanboy, right? Like, I'm not from New York. I don't, I'm not sitting here gushing about the Falcons. I'm being truly objective about what I see. But more so, this is about the way Arthur Smith is going to use him in scheme. I mean, think about this. This is what Arthur Smith has set up here. He literally can put Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and one other tight end on the field and run 6 different formations out of it. Like, he literally can run a 4 wide receiver set with all 4 of those guys out there. He can run a single back. He can put, Bijan in the slot, and he can put, Kyle Pitts in tight. He can run double tight end set. Like, he doesn't have to take personnel off the field to run 25 different plays. And as a defense, how in the hell do you scheme for that?
Yeah. Okay, so they have expended a lot of draft capital on the players you just mentioned to build up the toys in the toy chest. Do they have the trigger man? Management, obviously this week, big vote of confidence for Desmond Ridder. What have you seen so far? Are you buying it?
I mean, when you ask me if I'm buying it, are you asking me if I'm buying whether he's going to be a top 10, top 12 quarterback in this league? No, I don't. But I don't know if he has to be. Like, let's just look comparatively last year and look at how inept Marcus Mariota was, right? And how many games they were in, how competitive they were, how many games they won, right? Because they won 8 of them. It wasn't like or 7 of them. It wasn't like they were the worst team in the league. And so they didn't even have an improved defense. So Desmond Ridder really only has to be marginally better to get 3 or 4 points better that would win them 3 or 4 more games. Like, I'm just managing the expectation here. Do I think Desmond Ridder can be good? Yes. Do I know that with any sense of fact? Absolutely not. I don't think anybody does. But again, the point of this whole exercise, I think, the way they built this thing with Ridder, is that they gave him every single tool and every single weapon needed to win a football game. And if you can't do it, guess what? You're going to find out pretty damn quick. And next year, you're drafting a quarterback. So that's kind of where this whole thing was from a big picture standpoint. It's like, if he can't do it with all these weapons, there ain't nothing. There's just not it. Period. And Arthur Smith has even said that to me, he's just like, look, if Desmond is it, we have the world in front of us. And he's right. If he can be, a top 12 quarterback in this league, he doesn't have to be flashy. He doesn't have to be great, but if he can hover around with most people, and I wouldn't say this about him because I think he's, a lot better of a quarterback than people give him credit for. But if he can hover in the Derek Carr range, like people consider him around the 12th best quarterback, in that low teens number, then the Falcons are going to be fine with him there. And for the record, I'm a huge Derek Carr supporter, so you'll never get me to say a bad word. I won't stand here for any Derek Carr slander.
Oh, man. Well, you should probably hang up the phone then, because I've been slandering Derek Carr since the Saints signed him.
Why? 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 Did you play fantasy football and you're a nerd? Why?
No, I've literally never played fantasy football in my life.
I know. That's why.
I know. But I think it's just through the prism that you look, Zeno. It's like, okay, if I want the Saints to win a Super Bowl again, is Derek Carr the guy that's going to get them there? I don't believe so. I believe he is undeniably, I don't even think this is debatable, he's the best option at quarterback for them this year. He's the best quarterback in this division. He's a very good starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't think Derek Carr gets the Saints over that hump, which is why I wanted to see them do essentially what Carolina did, which was play for your future and try to draft the best quarterback in the draft.
Okay, but could I conceivably argue that Drew Brees never got you over the top other than 1 year?
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, because it's really hard to win. But you were
if that's the measure, put it this way: Derek Carr. The way I look at it, it's the same thing as Kirk Cousins, and I'm not here for any Kirk Cousins slander either. So I know I'm probably alone in that boat. I'm stuck out in the Pacific defending Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins.
You're defending middle tier NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah. It's what I specialize in, defending middle tier quarterbacks.
Tell me about Danny Dimes, brother. Tell me about.
There you go.
Tell me about Danny Dimes.
Just me and a whole bunch of middle tier quarterbacks floating out in the middle of the ocean, waiting for somebody to save us. But I mean, look. It's kind of like this thing where Derek Carr, he's never going to be the problem. Like, if you want him to be the entire solution, that's a different conversation because you can count on one hand the number of guys who are the entire solution. Not any quarterback really is the entire solution with the exception of 3 or 4 of them. So he's never going to be the problem. He just can't be the whole solution. And for fans, that's usually never enough. But objectively, that dude is good enough to go play in a conference championship game.
Yeah.
I mean, if Joe Flacco can do it, Mark Sanchez can do it.
No doubt.
We're crying out loud. Why can't Derek Carr?
Because the rest of the Saints roster isn't good enough. But that's a whole other question.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder about this offense and this defense for the Saints this year. Like, I think the defense is still going to be really, really good, but I don't know if it'll be as good. Like, I feel like they're primed to take a step back, but I just don't know if there's going to be any level of consistency. And is Dennis Allen really the offensive coach? Like, he's not. He's a defensive guy. Like, where's the focus on the offense? And, I don't know. I feel like he got more questions than answers, personally.
It's fair. That's fair. All right, I got 2 more things for you. Mark Zinno's with us, 92.9 The Game there in Atlanta. He's on Twitter at Mark Zinno. What's the so far a week into camp, what's the biggest question mark the Falcons have?
Can they find something called a pass rush? Because they've been looking for it and trying to break it like the Da Vinci Code. They're like Nicolas Cage and National Treasure, continuing to get in front of obstacles that they can't get out of. Like, I don't know. I don't know the answer to whether they can find a pass rush, but they need to be able to affect the quarterback. Period. Like, and here's the greatest litmus test for this Falcons team: if Bryce Young, okay, and some version of Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield, like, if you can't rattle those dudes, forget about it.
No.
Like, if those dudes are going off against your front seven, there's a problem. Now, you know our DC very well. So, Perry Fontenot, our GM very well. Like,
sure.
He's a smart guy. Like, I like TF a lot. I mean, he is very conscious about roster building, and I think he's very smart at it. And I think they made so many improvements in free agency this offseason that are just hard to quantify. I think they shored up the back end by picking up Jesse Bates. They certainly picked up, the linebacking core that they needed to with Bud Dupree coming over there. And obviously they get Calais Campbell to try to bolster up the front 4, or front 3 in this case, as they switched to a 3-4, but the defensive line. And, I mean, how do all those things work out? I don't know. But what I do know is that their defense was a lot of bend, don't break last year. I mean, they had some bad games for sure, and they gave up, some points in some games for sure. But for the most part, they weren't as terrible as you would have thought they were. They just can't get to the quarterback, and that's going to be a real issue for them.
Last thing. So I know you do a lot of gambling content as well. Falcons number is 8.5 over under. Where's the play?
Here's how I would play that. I would actually pick the Falcons to win the division at plus money. Why play the over at minus money? Because they're correlated, right? If the Falcons win 9 games or more, they're probably winning the division, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think 10 games wins this division. So I would take Falcons to win the division they're probably they've come down a lot. A lot of people actually bet on the Falcons. They were around plus like 230, 240 when they opened to win the division. They're down in the like plus 180 range. So you missed the best of the number, but still, instead of taking their win total over, which I think they will get over, but I'd just play them to win the division at a better price and do it that way because I think they're correlated.
Great stuff, man. Follow him on Twitter at Mark Zinno, 92.9 The Game there in Atlanta, checking in on the Falcons. We'll visit again soon, man. Thanks as always.
Always a pleasure, Matty. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.